Without laws, we might as well be with the animals. But there were laws that were just plain stupid. You won't believe it existed in the first place. But there could have been some actual reasons as to why these laws don't sound dumb deeper than what meets the eye. Or not. I don't know. No bears in taverns, Alaska. Who the actual flip would ban bears in Alaskan pubs? Was this like a race thing where it's bears in Alaska and African Americans in the rest of the states? Hello, one vodka please. Hey, Grizzly, didn't you see the sign back there? No bears allowed here. Go before I call the cops. Come on, man, I just wanna... This is Democracy Manifest. What is the charge? Wanting a drink? A succulent American drink? It wasn't actually like that. See, Fairbanks, Alaska used to have many bars and pubs and drinky drink spots because of traders and miners in the 19th century. The thing with Alaska back then was there were more animals than people. Bears were particularly the ones in these human-infested places because of the smell of food and alcohol. To get some people flocking to their bars, the owner would then start adopting bears. So these taverns were basically the first furry restaurants, and we didn't know about it. You know those cat cafes in Japan where cats just roam around the boutique and do absolutely nothing apart from be cute and get pet by people? That's exactly what the purpose of these bears were. Until there was a case that the bear kept receiving shots from customers, like alcohol shots all around. This made the bear so drunk, and it went on destroying crap throughout the town. It was a wasted bear. What did you expect? For it to suddenly be sophisticated? No, even humans do that when they're wasted. These bear rampages got more and more often that the government had to intervene and made it illegal for bears to be in taverns and saloons. Some yardy-darties tried to test the law and still got some bears in the pub. They ended up being fined. Eventually, Alaska began being like the rest of the states at the end of the 19th century. Racist, white supremacist, and no bears were ever put in taverns again. Biting off someone's limb, Rhode Island. Why in God's green earth would someone feel the need to outlaw biting off someone's limb? My brothers, we are not in the World War Z universe for this to be put as a law. This is common sense. What is with Rhode Island and biting body parts? Anyway, there were a lot of cases of assaults being reported regarding biting off body parts in here that they had to make an actual law explicitly saying, every person who shall voluntarily, maliciously, or of purpose put out an eye, slit the nose, ear, or lip, or cut off, bite off, or disable any limb or member of another, shall be imprisoned, not exceeding 20 years nor less than 1 year. If you don't believe me, it's right here. Literally there. Like, why? Dressing like Batman, Melbourne. My God, not even Bruce Wayne is safe from these laws. What's next? Flying is illegal because people might think you're Superman? No. See, the reason why this law was made was to remove the confusion, although I'm not really sure to whom we will confuse Batman from, but here we are. Ah, I see. Children, we need to protect children from Batman. Wait, huh? No! Children might see those cosplaying Bruce Wayne in edgy dark clothing as the real thing. Another reason was that people using Batman's costume meant they'll be hiding their faces in some form, and criminals could use these opportunities to do some Joker activity. So now we got an answer to the question, why so serious? But there's an exemption. You can dress like Batman, or Robin, or any superhero that requires a mask if you have a permit. If you did it anyway without getting a permit, you could get into a bit of a trouble. The punishments of this law are very close to Australia's Summary Offences Act, meaning you could pay a fine or get jail time. If you're really Batman, you can just buy the entire jail, and maybe even the police, the department, or maybe even the government agency, just to get out. Over time, the law got phased out because it was just nonsense. Criminals don't need Batman to do crimes. If they wanted to, they'd do something not remotely close to Batman, like wearing a snow mask. Reincarnation permit, China. Teachers, are you using this video to show your students the dumbest and weirdest laws in history? If so, you can skip 5 seconds, because I'm gonna say some pee-pee poo-poo language that the students are not allowed to hear. Go! Okay, so what the actual goddamn beeswax ploopy couture is with this? We're not even sure if reincarnation is real, and now we need permits just to respawn? Dang it! Okay, teachers, you can keep playing the video now. This law is mostly a religion and state collaboration. Tibetan Buddhism is so used to this system of identifying who is a living Buddha or Tulku among the crowd. Once they get identified, everyone will believe they will have a next life to be a spiritual leader. I don't know about the legitimacy of these claims, so don't attack me. Originally, this was done by the Tibetan monks as rituals without the need of the government. But the president before, Hu Jintao, wanted to have control, even at the religious groups in China. In 2007, China's State Administration for Religious Affairs released Order Number 5. It's this 14-step program on everything the guy that the monks identified as a living Buddha should do to get reincarnated. It's China's own toll gate to the next life. Let me sum up the regulations. If you're identified, you fill out the reincarnation documents like the good boy you are. The monks should agree you're the Buddha, and if there's a debate, the government would join in the party. Then background checks. And more background checks. Then you'll be taught holy words to bring with you in the next life. The Chinese had to do these things because of the fear that the Dalai Lama could probably brainwash their followers to do an uprising. Yes, one of the most peaceful religions on earth, doing an uprising. Hell, they could give you criminal charges if you missed one step in the law. You can't do that. You're controlling the freedom of our religion. Yes, we can, and we're only doing this to keep us all together. Unity. 所以你可以带着你的宗教回到山里并遵守规则. To think that the Dalai Lama right now is actively against whatever China is doing says something about this law, but in turn, China is keeping the Dalai Lama from finding the next one on the throne. And now the guy who asked a boy to put his tongue in their mouths is in exile. The law is still here, and I don't think anyone's going to be reincarnating anytime soon. Flying a kite, Australia. This is the second Aussie law in this video, and it's not any better than the first one. It's once again under the Summary Offences Act, and you can't fly a kite in Victoria if it annoyed someone. Is the person who wrote this a Karen? The goal of this was to prevent anyone from being a nuisance to the community. Yep, a Karen definitely wrote this. Kite flying may look harmless, but it could get tangled in trees or distract pedestrians. Guys, I'm trying my best to justify this, but I can't. This is so stupid. It says that if the kites were flown near busy roads, the kites could distract the drivers or whatnot. See, I don't know how Australian drivers get easily distracted, but I wouldn't kite over a highway just to test if it flies. You'll get fined for being annoying. Enough to discourage you from flying a kite. If I'm annoyed by someone's whole personality, would Australia pass a law that living should be banned if it causes annoyance as well? This law is amongst the dumb crap Australia made back in the 20th century, and it didn't sit well with everyone. Some people said the laws were too controlling, like a paranoid boyfriend. Even though the law were in some books after the court of public opinion supported flying a kite as innocent, the laws weren't used, and entitlement became a thing of the past. It could stay a thing of the past if we just don't tell those middle-aged, short-haired blondes who always carry purses with them with big-ass shades on their heads about this law. Dying. Spain and Italy. Yep, historically, you're not allowed to die in medieval Spain and Italy. Who the heck cares if it's inevitable? Make it evitable. Schedule your death. Postpone your plague. About that, Europe had a problem with the dead. There were too much of them, and cemeteries can't handle this crowd. Lanjaron in Spain and some places in Italy had holy cemeteries. You can't just expand these places because heaven ends on where the fences were. If you expand it, it's no longer heaven, and the dead would not go to the Silver City. Well, they weren't able to do anything with the dead. They believed that all people who passed on deserved burial rights, so take it out on the living. Ha! This will be a revolutionary law. It sounds stupid, but it was practical. They can't expand the land because of other things. Nearby lands are for other things. They were also afraid that the spirits would not leave quietly if it was buried outside the holy spots in the church. Combine all these, and you got town leaders telling people, okay, who are the ones sick in here? Who are terminally ill? You. Okay, are you about to die? What do you mean anytime now? Cancel it. How about you? Old. Well then, live longer. I can't have people dying on me here. I'll have to arrest you if you die. Well, it wasn't like they could do that. That's even more stupid than the law itself. They would really beg dying people to just stop dying and then move them to places with available plots to bury them in once they die. If someone died in a place with a full cemetery, it's on the family's cargo to find a solution for the dead weight. At some point, these people were buried in unblessed lands. Considering that medieval Italy and Spain were all about religion, this was a big deal. So they changed it to resting the dead in improvised graves with the promise of moving them once plots become open. They had to promise to the dead. The church didn't like that. They were really afraid that these dead people would become vengeful spirits, like,
io sono il fantasma che è qui solo per prendere in giro la chiesa perché crede a queste stronzate.
Or,
soy la persona que murió hace apenas 30 minutos. Realmente no me importa donde me pongas. De todos modos, hace frío.
When the towns became a bit more modernized, the cemeteries were expanded anyway. Then the idea of cremating went into their minds like eureka, so the issue of this became dated, and the stupid law was removed as time went on. Oh, and speaking of dead people, Banned ghosts, Europe. By now, we've all established that Europe was a religious continent, at least the plague-ridden parts of it. Now with religion comes wild-as-hell superstitions, like vengeful spirits or whatever. They believed that those who died sadly, or those who weren't given proper burial rites, would be angry and send the deadly pestilence to those who are living. So what they did was ban the ghosts that are haunting burial grounds. Ban the ghosts. Yep. Man, Guys, good thing that this was hundreds of years ago, because if this were to be passed today, TikTok would blast the hell out of the lawmakers who passed this. This is Martin Luther. He was the guy who made 95 reasons why you should hate the church. To hell with purgatory, but the idea of ghosts never went out of their minds. Except they didn't want to say it out loud, since people might relate their belief of ghosts to the Catholics. Well, the ghosts won't actually feel the legal ban on them. I wonder why. Oh yeah, it's because they're freaking ghosts. Humans, on the other hand, banned the wandering souls by doing rituals. Cemeteries were sprinkled with holy water. Only sprinkled because everything was scarce those times. They put symbols and markings to keep the spirits within those boundaries. If ghosts still go, ghosts go arrest. Hey yo bro, what the heck happened to my grammar? Anyway, they can't arrest ghosts for obvious reasons. So again, put it on the living people. In some places, if families were suspected of doing something to make the spirits run amok, they would be charged with fines. Or maybe reburials, although those charges were on the light side of the spectrum. If you get suspected of controlling the spirits, also known as witchcraft, you're gonna die. When Europe slightly toned down the over-the-top Catholicness, the ghost bans started becoming irrelevant. And here we are today. Walking backwards on Sundays, several parts of the world. What? Walking back. Who has killed someone while walking backwards for Devon, Connecticut to put this law? It's weird in itself already, but no walking backwards only on Sundays? Michael Jackson would be sad every Sunday. In the 19th century, parts of the USA were highly Jesusified, so they considered Sundays as the day for worship and rest, and anything weird that people were doing were banned if the churchables found it distracting. Walking backwards on a Sunday was more applied after sunset, when it gets dark. Walking backwards was dangerous, and don't get me wrong, even today it still is, and it's more stupid. People could trip, stumble, or hit the ground at the speed of light like Owen Hart. But why did people walk backwards those days? Well, cultural, spiritual, and other things that end with "al." People believe that you can avoid bad spirits when walking backwards. Not that it holds any legitness to it, but a belief is a belief. This is Adrian. Look at him walking backwards in front of a church on a Sunday. Oop, doesn't seem like he's only walking. He's moonwalking. Yeah, he's mocking the law now. It should be no surprise anymore that the cops warned him. But Adrian is one crappy person. He did it again next Sunday. So the cops charged him a small fine for being stupid and annoying. This should be enough warning for the people in the 19th century. Moonwalk around and find out. Since the law only applied on sunsets, it became useless when streetlights popped up here and there. Don't get it wrong. While walking backwards might not be against the law now, it doesn't mean the court of public opinion would forgive you for it. They would still laugh at you and look at you as if you're doing the apple dance on an escalator for a TikTok. Waking bears up for photos, Alaska. Okay, number 1. If you're a normal human person being creature, don't go near a bear. If you're Khabib Nurmagomedov as a child, sure, because that guy is a menace. Like, what would even prompt you to go near a bear these days? If you're a hunter or a photographer, that might be understandable, but being one of those is the wrong answer. There aren't a lot of bears in the world, and there are 8 billion people. We would notice if a bear dies, we won't if it's a human. So, just take photos of it. But Alaska has this law that stops people from waking up sleeping bears for photos. Bears are vulnerable when sleeping, or should I say hibernating. Kids, if you wake a bear up while hibernating, it doesn't matter what the reason is, you're gonna get mauled. Don't do it. It's not like this is gonna happen. Excuse me, Mr. Bear. Excuse me. Wake up. What is it? What's going on? I just woke you up. What? Why did you wake me up? Do you know I can cut you into 100 equal pieces? Well, I just wanted to ask you about your car's extended warranty. Well, why didn't you say so? Extend it. Okay, that'll be $1,500. Sure, no worries. Here, can I sleep now? Yes, Mr. Bear. Have a great sleep. Listen, it's not like that. During winter, bears have to slow down their metabolism to stay alive longer without the need for food under the cold weather. I just don't know why in the past, tourists would wake these giants up for selfies. It's one or the other. Either you get eaten or you become the health hazard for the bear. When a bear wakes up abruptly from a scheduled sleep, they become disoriented and it would stress them out. Even worse, you just kill the bear by waking it up. If Berry Bear doesn't get back to sleep immediately, they starve through the winter, and it's your fault. That's why the government had to put up a law that basically says, don't wake the bear for your Instagram bullshit. If you do, and you die, we're gonna arrest you. If you do, and the bear dies, we're gonna arrest you. Then again, laws are meant to be broken because I'm an American citizen and I know my rights. Says a Karen, probably. Well, if you're that stupid, no one would notice you disappear. It's one less entitled American for the world to benefit anyway. Through the years, the people thankfully have become more educated about bears and how they could and how they would demolish you like paper. While the law does sound stupid, it's perfectly reasonable, and it's still in effect at the time I'm writing this script and by the time I'm reading it. Just don't go near bears, please. Oh, and one more thing. Don't wrestle bears too. That's also banned, just in Missouri, probably also in Alaska. But can we just leave bears alone? Snowball fights, Colorado. Okay, children, sit down and let me tell you this one. What did you do? I was telling them about this law. What's wrong with it? You're not the right person for this, Drake. I'd let Eminem do the talking, but you? No. How about me? What about me? Step down, guys. This is my area of domain. Yes, I agree with Bill, but I think I should do it. What? No, 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 and a big resounding no. What the hell are you guys on? Are y'all that dense? Get out. Okay, so kids, sit down. If you live in Severance, Colorado, you're not allowed to have snowball fights. Yes, in the 9th coldest state in the USA, you're not allowed to play that game. Back in the 1920s, the town had a general ban on throwing anything that can injure someone. They called it missiles. Rocks, sticks, trains, tanks, all of them are considered missiles if you can throw them and hurt people. Under the specific municipal code, snowballs were missiles. They should also ban rain since those projectiles cause widespread flooding. But under this law, throwing snowballs at any person, or animal, or building, or vehicle, or trees are banned. So snow fights are against the law. If you have children that are snowball fighting, they are enemies of the state. They are armed and dangerous. If you see any of them, call the authorities immediately, or you will be an accessory to crime. But even if this stupid law existed, no one actually violated it, nor charged for playing with snowballs. In 2018, this 9-year-old kid named Dane Best said, "All right, you know what? I'm gonna test it out if it works. Either I get arrested or become a town hero of some sort." After he found out about this law on a school trip, he went to the Severance Town Board with his family and friends to show his full-blown PowerPoint presentation on why snowball fines should be legal in the town again. Dane's arguments on the Board of Trustees lied somewhere on the lines of children needing something to play outdoors, and that snowball bans were ancient and stupid. The board was careful because of the possible things inside the snowball like rocks or whatever. That was their thing. Dane was like, "The children of today won't even think about that. That was your thing." And then the board was like, "Oh yes, you're right," and a 9-year-old overturned the dumb law. Good for the kid. Singing off-key, North Carolina. Unfortunately, if you're not a part of the choir, nor a generational talent or Filipino, you're cooked if you tried to sing Love on Top or I Will Always Love You. This law in North Carolina started when this dude, William Lincoln, a member of a Methodist church, would sing loudly. He's committed to his Lord and Savior. Don't judge him. Singing loudly to assert commitment is one thing, but singing loudly and not being in tune is another. He was tone deaf.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much You guys suck.
He was so out of tune that his churchmates brought him to court, charging him with disturbing the peace during religious services. This happened in the trial.
Will anyone in this courtroom imitate how Mr. Lincoln is singing?
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to imitate how Mr. Lincoln was singing because it was so disruptive that we really can't bear it anymore. So here it goes. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. Something like that, Your Honor.
The courtroom went wheezing when they heard the Lincoln impression. The judge, the jury, the people couldn't hold in their laughter. It was a total humiliation for William. Even though everyone laughed at his crappy vocals, they found him guilty for causing a disturbance in a peaceful setting. Not because he was like this girl, but William believed he was in the right. He said that he never meant to be a nuisance. He just wanted to worship in his own way. Well, maybe if TikTok Live was a thing back then, he could have done it alone and say thank you to every corgi he receives. The higher court sided with him, but the law stayed. Over time, the churchies tolerated bad singing. Weird stuff. You're probably lucky to live in a place where there's no stupid law. Or maybe there is, you're just not stupid enough to violate it.